Look at the coincidence. I'm wearing the suit that I got married in. And I was going to get married in Lake Tahoe. But instead, it was October, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Hawaii instead. So I've never been to Lake Tahoe, but this listing is getting attention.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show. Shawn, how's it going today?
Matt, I still have people living above me. I'm still in temporary housing.
You still have the elephants
The elephants
above you.
are, it's so funny. I'm going to go to management today and just say, hey, is it just me? Or I know it's the building, but literally it's the weirdest thing because it'll be quiet all day. And then at 10:30 to midnight, it's like, dun, 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 like running. And I'm like, they're 4 young kids up there, right? But why are they so loud between 10:30 and 2? And then last night, 4:15, boom, 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 boom. 4:15 a.m., I woke up, and I have this problem of once I'm up, I'm up. I have a really difficult time falling back asleep. So that was my night last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building management. I know we live in a world of Karens where you can't complain or else you're a Karen. Mm-hmm. But if they're keeping you up at night, if they are disturbing your peace, you gotta complain. You just gotta complain.
I have to at least say something and be like, were there complaints before we lived here? Because we've only been there a month now, right? But I've been dealing with it for a month, and I've been nice, and I haven't said a word. And we've just been like trying to live through it. But enough is enough, you know? So I will say something today. We'll see if we can take care of it. But the building itself is noisy. You know, what are you going to do?
Noisy
How do you
building.
Control little kids from jumping around and having fun? It's tough.
So in today's video, in addition to Shawn's struggles with temporary housing, we're also going to talk about Zillow property brochures and some wacky listing photos. Let's start with the big Z. And, you know, Shawn, during the pandemic, a lot of businesses struggled big time. A lot of businesses went out of business, ran out of customers. And the company that did not run out of customers and that got more business was Amazon. Everyone was ordering off Amazon. No one wanted to leave their house. You know, there was a time when people thought that, you know, coronavirus could be on a cardboard box. Maybe that's possible. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But by and large, people were sitting at home ordering from Amazon because they have the most seamless customer service and customer experience. And when we look at real estate and what real estate company has that seamless A to Z brokerage service, there is one name and one name only that stands out, and that is, of course, Zillow. Zillow owns all the data, and from Shawn's grunt, he doesn't like giving out that data, but you know, they have the data, and they are now a brokerage. They now have partner agents. They now buy real estate. They now fix and flip real estate. I'm sure there's some sort of lending and title arm to Zillow as well. So they're essentially trying to take a piece of every single cut of the pie, and they're doing a pretty good job of it so far. So Shawn, what are your thoughts? The article is titled, "Is Zillow the next Amazon?" Do you think this is where Zillow is headed?
God, I hope not. But yes, I think they are. They've already shown that they're moving forward in so many different directions. And this was, I guess, my fear from the beginning. Why would you give your information to a company that has a better platform than you, than that is just going to take everything over and take all of the money from from everybody else that's doing their job, right? So, number one, I hate giving the information to them, but everybody uses their website. So then what happens? All right, so then they charge the agents to get the leads. They charge a ton of money to the agents that get the leads. Then once they give out those leads, hey, now we're starting our own brokerage. And then after that, we're going to start our own title company. Then we're going to start our own lending. And then we're going to start our own car company, and then grocery delivery and everything else. And it soon enough becomes this huge, huge company that takes over everybody's business. Now, some of you might say, that's a good thing. But when me and Matt are sitting here not selling any real estate, and Zillow takes over the world.
But why is it a bad thing? Why is Zillow having data a bad thing? That's where the customers are. How is that bad for us?
Well, I mean, were they there before all this happened? No, I think.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It does in some ways, because we could have kept those customers ourselves, right? So before, yeah, they could have gone to century21.com, remax.com, redfin.com, whatever it was, right? But we were all our own things. So what they did was undermined the system, right? And said, all right, hey, just give us your data, right? So we give all the data to them. They create this amazing foundation. I guess that's how things change.
Well, the consumer decided, because
did they though?
Our platform wasn't good enough.
I agree.
Our platform, Century 21, and I don't even think I was with Century 21, 10 years ago. I wasn't. But if someone spots a need in the market, which is what Zillow did, they capitalized on other brokerages not fulfilling the customer's needs to view properties online, and that's how we got here.
Yeah, I mean, there's good and bad that come from it, I think. The good is naturally that everything is streamlined and it's all to the public. The bad thing is, I just don't like paying for leads, and I think that, it's not our style anyways, but...
How many different streams of revenue do you think Zillow has?
Well, they have the agents paying.
Mm-hmm.
They have, now they're going to have their own brokerage. They're going to have lending side of things.
Because agents paying, that's a thing of the past. Agents still pay, but that's not going to be...
That's their number one source, though.
Right, but they're now transforming to, okay, here's this lead. We're going to take a cut of the commission at closing rather than agents paying for leads. Agents are still going to pay for the leads, but Zillow is also seeing that there's more value in giving warm leads to clients and then taking essentially a referral fee from that.
Yeah, and I think that's a better way of doing it, because what happens in the current model or the prior model was that you're just paying all this money to try to get these leads, and the leads are so hard. You need another group of people following these leads and calling them constantly to try to get them to be a warm lead. That's a lot of work. And so if you pay a referral fee, that means, you only pay until you're closed.
Yeah.
The other way, you're paying and paying and paying, and you're not getting.
Imagine if Century 21 directly charged you for leads and it was like, here's a lead, it's $500, it's a good lead. You probably wouldn't take that lead.
Right.
But if Century 21 was like, here's a lead and this is our split, you can have this lead for free, but this is our split, you'd probably take the lead.
I would take it more often than, yeah, absolutely. I think I've tried the Zillow model, and, the problem is we all want to try it to see how it works. Mm-hmm. And you try it in a small market, or you try it in maybe a cheaper zip code or something, but then you start getting the cheaper, crappier leads that rentals or it's like, this is not worth my time. And you have to follow up and follow up and follow up and maybe show properties and one-off properties, and that person's gone. So it's a really tough gig to keep those leads. But there's agencies that do it really well. They've got the backing system, they've learned it, and they know how to do it.
So reading off Zillow's market cap, this is incredible. Zillow's market cap is at about $17-18 billion. To put that in perspective, the largest market caps for publicly traded real estate companies, Zillow 17, Redfin is around 4 or 5. EXP is surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, is in third place. I can't see what, maybe 2 billion. And then Remax, and then Realty and Remax round out the top 5. It looks like EXP has twice the market cap as Remax and a significant lead over Realty. And EXP just came onto the scene. Realty's been around forever, and Shawn and I have been talking about EXP recently, and they're just exploding.
Yeah, they really are.
Does this surprise you that EXP is?
It really does, actually. I think they started more West Coast. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. I don't know where they started, but we have talked about this before, where we've had agents say, "Hey, why don't you come over to EXP?" And it's more of like, "Hey, once you pull somebody in, they're under you," that kind of thing. So it's like almost like a pyramid thing where you make money off of each person that you recruit in. But it seems to be working, and Realty is a conglomerate of different agencies. So Century 21, Coldwell Banker, So it's surprising that they're actually bigger than that.
Yeah, that is surprising, but Zillow's stock is up. I think it's $75 right now. I'll put that on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. So all signs, unfortunately for Shawn, are pointing to Zillow improving their market cap, improving their market share. But they're not buying houses in this area, so maybe
that's good.
You got that going for you.
Yeah, and well, we'll just see how the market. Right now, the market's super hot as far as single families, so I'm sure they're doing well on the resale of those. But we're all seeing how quickly markets can change, and that can have a dramatic effect on, all those houses that they've bought, whether it's going to be a moneymaker or a money loser for them. So
we'll see. So the second topic that Shawn and I are going to get into are property brochures. Specifically, you go to a house, there's brochures on the kitchen table, tells you about the property. I'm thinking someone in 2010 walked into an open house, saw an 8.5 by 11, sheet of paper, and was like, I can do better than this.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, property brochures were a thing. They're cool, they're glossy, they feel nice, they're color, they have all the information you need to know. But now in the era of COVID, people don't want to touch things. They don't want to touch things that aren't theirs. They don't want to pick up things that aren't theirs. Sometimes we're ordering 50 property brochures for a listing that sells in one weekend. Like, is that information, which is duplicated in the MLS, really necessary? And then what happens after you do a price change after 14 days on the market? Then the seller says, oh, well, you need to correct all these property brochures. Then you have to reorder, throw the old ones out, reorder 25 new ones. Or maybe you've seen this, take the old Sharpie, scratch that off. That's always a specialty
way of doing it.
For realtors. So, Shawn, we're seeing a lot of changes with COVID. Do you think property brochures are going to go away?
I personally don't think they're going to go away, but there's going to be a market shift in how they're utilized. Right now, because of COVID, yes, I'm not seeing people take brochures as much. I don't see the need for them because people don't want to touch them.
What's the benefit of them?
The benefit is just, something to look at, something to take home with you. And, while you're in the car with your wife, whatever, looking at it, hey, you know what I mean? It kind of brings people back to the property. You're not always going to be on your phone. You have something sitting there that's just that property. You don't have to go to a link or anything like that. So I think there's value in that. There's also value in showing your next listing or your next buyer what we do, right? I think there's always going to be value in those for a while, but I think there's great value in creating something like we're seeing now where it's more online, where you do a QR code and you scan it. You have a QR symbol, in your listing, you scan it and it just goes right to the listing. It goes right to the listing either on your website, which I would suggest, so to keep traffic to your actual website, which is actually a great tool. And I think for right now, that's what we should be doing. Drive traffic to your website by using QR codes. People don't want to touch stuff. Scan it. You're done.
So let's say you're holding an open house. You don't have your iPad in. It's kind of more difficult to get the consumer to sign in, so you have their email address. Why not have a QR code that goes straight to your website, and then after a couple pictures, maybe you soft sell them on signing in or giving their email address? Because if they take the property brochure and walk out, there's no way of tracking that person. But if you send them to your website, well, hey, maybe you have a cookie on your website, maybe you can track them that way, follow them around the internet. Not really my specific style, but it's better than nothing at all. So, and let me ask you this, and it's slightly different industry, but we're seeing restaurants just having the QR code and maybe temporarily getting rid of menus. Now, I know with a menu, there's people constantly touching. With property brochures, it's you take it and leave, as opposed to take it, put your grubby hands all over it, and put it back down. But we are seeing, some restaurants have been so proud of their menus, and you see it on like a little cutting board or like a nice font. Now it's just on their website. Yeah. And it seems to be working out. So I think I think property brochures will go away for a little bit. But I would agree with Shawn that I do think there is value in the presentation of print marketing at the property. I just think that will undergo a revolution when it comes to COVID.
And like you said, revolutions are good. It usually changes the industry for the better. I like the property brochures, but truthfully, like you said, we'll print out 50 of them and we'll use that property will be gone. So it's such a waste in a lot of time. So I think what we should start doing is printing less and going towards that. Now, one good point is when people used to sign into our apps at open houses, we would automatically send them all of the listing information through that app to their email address. But now it's the same thing without them signing in, because a lot of people don't want to touch your iPad. They don't want to touch their brochures. So you scan it and it's feeding them that information automatically. And I think that's a really good thing. And for us, we're going to have our video, our 3D tour, our pictures, any prices, anything about the property right there for them. So it's almost better, to be honest.
Yeah, and you said something earlier about the property brochures. It helps, get the listing. It helps win the listing. And I think we should be doing things to help the customer, help the consumer. And if we're showing the seller something and they're like, oh, well, why aren't you putting this in the magazine? Or why aren't you doing the PDF, the property brochure? And, that's our time to educate them and say, hey, listen, the print magazine that'll go out in 6 months, not really the best use of our funds, or the property brochure that no one wants to pick up anymore, not really the best use of our funds. Let's put it in Facebook advertising instead. So focusing more on the consumer rather than the shiny objects. I'm not saying that you said that, but less of the shiny objects for the seller, more of the value for the consumer.
Absolutely.
So the final topic is about listing photos, and every now and then a listing will go viral because something about the photo. Maybe there's a guy in a Bigfoot costume, in the background of a couple, or a guy in a guy or girl in a dinosaur costume, or sometimes you see the dog sitting on the couch. Well, here is one that I have not seen before, and this comes from South Lake Tahoe. Have you ever been to Lake Tahoe?
I've been meaning to go to Lake Tahoe for taco. I'm hungry.
It's lunchtime.
Lake Taco.
Lake District Taco.
Yeah. I've been wanting to go there for a long time. I have not been. I heard it's gorgeous. I actually was going to... Look at the coincidence. I'm wearing the suit that I got married in. And I was going to get married in Lake Tahoe. But instead, it was October, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Hawaii instead. So I've never been to Lake Tahoe, but... this listing is getting attention, right?
It is getting attention. A fixer-upper cabin in South Lake Tahoe is on the market for $199,000, $200,000, and the title of the article says, "Cabin for sale, bear not included." And there's literally a picture in the listing photos of a 500-pound, what looks to be a grizzly bear, and like two homeowners like fending it off. And it's not the primary photo. You got to click a few photos in, but it's in there. And Shawn, think about how many views our listings get on Zillow.
Yeah.
200, 500, 1,000, 2,000. This house has been seen by, drum roll please, 22,400 people. 22,000 people in 13 days. It's gone viral.
That's amazing.
It's the most ridiculous picture of a bear. It's literally like a bear attack. And by the way, have you seen those videos of people feeding black bears? Like, people are getting way too comfortable with bears.
Yeah.
Like, it's all fun and games until someone leaves without their face, Don't feed bears, because they're going to become friendly with humans, and then the next group is going to show up, and this bear is just going to come up expecting a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So I'm not really... I don't think people would be concerned. I think some people may look at this and say, oh my God, a bear near the house, I wouldn't want to live there. It's like, all right, well, if you're looking to live in Lake Tahoe, you probably know that there's going to be bears there. And I also think that there's a fine line between like going a little bit too far with your little viral, because especially on the sexual innuendo part, I've seen some where you got a girl in a swimsuit and it just comes off a horrific, terrible way.
Well, and that brings up another listing. As soon as you brought up this topic, it came to my head. It still comes to my head, where it was like you saw all the leather and like the cuffs and
Yeah.
everything. I think it was in Philly.
Yeah, it was.
Of this listing. And yeah, that's probably not the route to go. But these little things that get attention are what Matt and I think what we try to do, with our listing videos. It's not always about the property. It's about getting attention. How do you grab attention? There's a way of doing it with this one picture of the bear and these people fending it off. And that did the trick. It's not like overdoing it with every picture's got to be crazy. And, another listing comes up to mind that was for sale here in Virginia, where the basement was like the downstairs or the lower level of a ship, and it was like crazy painted and everything. It was just a really weird thing, but it got my attention because I was like, wow, I just want to go see the house, to see this basement, to see what artwork went into this, But so there's, I think, ways of doing things the right way, and I really feel like this was the right thing to do. In certain instances, what is our job, right? Our job is to get attention to these listings, to sell these listings. How can we get that attention? Matt and I do some crazy videos. Maybe we'll start taking some crazy pictures.
All about the ADs, attention dollars. So shout out to George Warren with the Warren Land Company. Very well done. And I think the reason this worked is because it's genuine, it's shocking, and it's funny. Those are the emotions you want. Once you start going sexual, once you start going a little seedy, once you start going a little trashy, that's not
goes out the door.
That's not what you want, and that's a big flop. But if you can be a little funny, if you can put the golden retriever in the background, or have the dinosaur costume, that's all fun and games. But hats off for the authenticity and the uniqueness. I've never seen a bear sighting like this on this property. And oh, by the way, it's under contract and only 13 days on the market. So something happened at work, and haters are always like, well, did the bear help sell the property? It's like, no, but we're talking about the property, and we live across the country, and this is a great example of marketing. So it doesn't always have to be that A to Z relationship. It could just be like, all right, well, they found a way to get 22,000 views. Wouldn't you like to have 22,000 views on your property?
Absolutely.
So there we have it. 3 just absolutely killer topics: Zillow, property brochures, and a big bear in South Lake Tahoe. Really love to go to Lake Tahoe. That'd
Let's
be cool.
do it. Why don't we do that for the next trip? All right. Me and Matt, we're off to Lake Tahoe.
Next episode of the Shawn and Matt Show will be at Lake Tahoe. Maybe not, but maybe in the future, because we did do the one in Miami on the balcony.
Yeah, maybe we should start doing locations.
So hot.
All right.
It was so toasty.
It was great.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.